for some peace of mind. But TikTok said a gator drove a Jeep through the blinds. Florida man's at it again with fireworks and a goat. And someone married a ghost in a Dollar Tree coat. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is going on? Aliens dancing in a Waffle House song. Kara's got a taser in the checkout line. And Dr. Oz just adopted birds to fight off crime. Oh, I'm just sitting here scrolling, my jaw on the floor. The internet's a circus and I can't take no more. Yeah, when it's wildin', there's a raccoon in the sink. Someone robbed a Wendy's just to steal a frosty drink. A pastor's gone viral yelling about the end is near, while folks ride hoverboards in wedding gear. Hey, what in the Walmart rapture is this mess? Florida's a movie, but it's filmed in VHS. Someone fed meth to a squirrel named Dave, and now he's in a cage just throwing rave. I'm just...
Hey, you guys, welcome to Mornings with Mo, for your place for headlines, true crime, and the absurd. I am, of course, your host, Mo, and or her genetic twin who was roped into being here. Either way, I think if I was going to steal an identity, I'd pick someone else's life, but I kind of like my inside cat life. Anywho, we got a lot of headlines. Let's get some morning, just welcomes out of the way. Thank you, Wolfram, for your modly mod duties, as always. And KZ Gypsy Muse, welcome. And Audio Coffee. And Tammy CA, good morning. So it looks like Ghislaine may be willing to, leak or let people know exactly what was happening in the whole Epstein files. Should they exist? Should they not exist? Should it be a conspiracy or not? It does seem like she's going to be willing to talk, which is interesting. Jeffrey Epstein's madam never gave her version of events to federal prosecutors before her 2021 trial, which resulted in a 20-year sentence for recruiting women and underage girls for Epstein to allegedly abuse. She also never testified in her defense. She'll be putting before that court material new evidence that has not been available to the defense at her 2021 trial, which could have a significant impact on its outcome, Ian Maxwell told the Post in an email on Wednesday. Now, Maxwell, 63, has become kind of the linchpin in the Epstein affair and one of the few people still alive who know the names, dates, times, and places of his entanglements, both in business and private life. Now, Epstein died in jail while awaiting trial in 2019. Now, we have no idea. Look, I don't even know what is a conspiracy theory or not about this anymore. If she squeals on some of the people that she has videos on, they won't be happy. A former Epstein, victim, Virginia Guffrey, alleged in an interview with Gayle King on CBS News in 2020. Now, Guffrey unfortunately passed away in April at her own hand and was one of the most prominent accusers of both Maxwell and Epstein, after she said she had been recruited by the pair and worked for them until 2002, during which time she claimed to have been forced to have relation with high-profile men, including Prince Andrew and a president with a Spanish accent, according to court papers. Maxwell was vicious. She was evil. Put it this way, Epstein was Pinocchio and she was Geppetto. She was the guy controlling all the strings, according to Virginia Guffrey. Now, Maxwell is currently serving her sentence at FIC Tallahassee in Florida. She also knows a great deal about Epstein's holdings and current, court proceedings. Kimberly Espinosa, who worked as a secretary for Maxwell in the early aughts, claims that Maxwell was Epstein's estate manager, working on his various projects, including his private island in the Virgin Islands. Again, the irony of him having an island in the Virgin Islands. Now, at one point, Maxwell oversaw the shipping of sand and palm trees to the island, said Espinosa, who was a defense witness at Maxwell's 2021 trial, and she also testified she never saw her doing anything untoward or illegal. Now, Guffrey told the interviewer that Maxwell organized the soirees and trips for high profile financiers and politicians who flew to the private island. She was the booking agent, alleged Spencer Coven, a Florida lawyer who represented some of the first victims to step forward from the Epstein debacle in 2007. Ghislaine would coordinate to get the girls for Jeffrey and his friends, and she would make sure that his homes around the world were ready to receive him. She knew all about the, clients and the victims because she did all the dirty work, according to this lawyer. Now, Maxwell herself has always been reluctant to speak publicly and has given few interviews. During a 2016 deposition in a civil case for defamation brought by Virginia Guffrey, lawyers criticized her for playing dumb when asked about sex toys, and she responded, "You need to need to define what a sex toy is." Now, she also denied Prince Andrew ever met Virginia Guffrey, despite appearing next to them in a well circulated photo. Teresa Helm, another victim of Epstein, says she feels prosecutors will have a tough time getting the truth from her. She was very crafty, successful, and articulate. I think she's going to make a deal to get released. Now, Helm, who works as a survivor services coordinator for the National Center for Exploitation in Washington, D.C., was recruited by Maxwell in 2022. She said she was recruited by Maxwell, who didn't mention Epstein at all during their interview, then flown from Los Angeles to New York City, where she states that she was assaulted multiple times by Epstein at the arrival of his Upper East Side mansion, causing her to leave right away and return back to Los Angeles. Now, I can't imagine that we're going to have a deal with another sweetheart deal that results in Maxwell getting released from prison. That would be tragic for all the women that survived. Now, Helm is referring to the slap on the wrist plea bargain that Epstein lawyers negotiated in 2007, which saw him plead guilty to 2 felony prostitution-related charges and register as an offender, also serving 13 months in jail. Now, the deal came up despite Palm Beach police investigations providing evidence that he had SA'd numerous girls under the age of 14. So, as young as 14 and up. Epstein did the minimum time under lock and key and was even allowed to be privately guarded at his Miami home during the daytime, free to travel internationally after completing his sentence. Now, Maxwell, on the other hand, was handed 20 years in prison. And JKD Buck is correct. Anything can be a toy as long as you're brave enough and don't mind explaining to the ER doctor what happened. I wouldn't recommend it, but if you want to have a fun I made the ER doctor cry story, then YOLO, you only live once. I'm not your mom. I'm not going to tell you what to do. Thank you, JKD Buck. You guys are killing it. Look at the swear jar. I am bemazed. This is awesome. So, unlike Epstein, Maxwell was given a 20-year sentence in prison, though she has insisted throughout that she was railroaded. Her lawyers have consistently argued that she should have been covered by a non-prosecution agreement that Epstein negotiated in 2007. Now, on Wednesday, a federal judge in Florida shot down the Trump administration's bid to release a trove of grand jury transcripts from the 2005 to 2007 kind of court proceedings involving both Maxwell and Epstein. Maxwell is set to meet with Deputy Attorney General Todd Blanche imminently, and also tentatively scheduled to sit for a deposition on August 11th to give further evidence. So I don't know that we should expect to find her mysteriously, permanently sleeping in her bunk before this happens, or, what? Because I doubt that it's been dangled like a carrot too many times. We keep being told like trust the process. We're totally going to give you the files. Oh, the files don't exist. So I'm not putting a lot of stock in this being any sort of outlet for any new information or any new justice for victims or any names being named. I've given up. Well, this is what we call one badass woman that I wouldn't tussle with, but apparently someone decided YOLO, I'ma test this woman. An Army vet grandmother blocks a crazed passenger from storming a cockpit on a Delta flight. She's like, not today. Not today, not on my watch. We all need a grandma like this. She decided that this behavior just wasn't going to fly. A Georgia grandmother and Army veteran is being hailed as a hero after she allegedly stopped an unruly passenger from storming the cockpit aboard a Delta flight last week. Nobody else was doing nothing, so I just knew I had to do something, Nicole Pruitt told 13 News while recounting her heroic act. The no-nonsense Nana was first seen in a viral TikTok video that showed a passenger restrained and on the floor after her attempt to enter the cockpit. Now, the incident occurred on July 16th as Pruitt was flying from Atlanta, Georgia to Tucson, Arizona to meet her new grandson. It took a turn at about 20 minutes into the trip when a female flyer attempted to access the cockpit and the plane's main entrance, a frighteningly common occurrence in the friendly skies of late. Now, the woman claimed she had received a divine directive to jump ship, WSAZ 3 reported. She didn't want to be on the plane anymore, Pruitt, a 26-year Army veteran, recalled. She said God told her to do it and she had a calling. That's when the steel-nerved senior decided to spring into action. I'm like, wait a minute, not today, recalled the Georgian, who helped detain the mile-high hellion as the aircraft began to turn around. Yes, we did. And yes, that is an incredible use of a bungee cord right there. Don't mess with grandma. You do not play. Look, we do not like flying. We do not want to be messed around with. Do not test us. We are older women and we have very little Jesus left in us some days. You don't want to test it. Now, accompanying footage, which was shot in the aftermath of the struggle, shows the troublemaker lying face down on the ground with her hands tied behind her back as Pruitt stands by. I will whoop her A, the Sky Samaritan declared while returning to her seat. The veteran said she was determined to not let the disruption prevent her from visiting her family. I've got to make it home to my kids, my children, and my grandkids. Now, Pruitt's son, Tyreek Perry, who was waiting for her in Tucson, said he was not surprised that his mother, jumped into action. Sometimes it's just a natural instinct and you've got to get it done, declared Perry, who uploaded the clip onto TikTok so viewers could witness his mother's good deed, and they were quick to lavish praise on the valiant veteran. This woman is a hero, declared one admirer, while another wrote, "Thank you, Queen Nikki." Others urged Delta to reward Pruitt for her courageous act. Bless this woman and what she did for everyone on this flight, and Delta step up and take care of her for Eva. Eva spelled EVA because, of course, why not? Another wrote that Delta needs to let this woman fly free for the rest of her life, first class. Now, Delta has since addressed the incident in a statement. Delta sincerely apologizes for the disturbance and appreciates the actions of our crew and customers for de-escalating the situation. We apologize to our customers for the delay and thank them for understanding. So, yeah. Don't test us women. We just want to get on the plane. We want to go home. We want to see our grandbabies. That's about all we want to do. We do not have time for you and Jesus to create a new, paratrooping wing. We really don't. So, gotta love that story. Well, it's holy Batman. It's a bat flipping time, apparently. This is causing a lot of interest. Look, y'all, like I said, I've never been a team sport person, so even though my mom signed me up for Little League, I've never really gotten the whole team sport, like drive to win thing. I'll be competitive over other things, but the team sport thing was just never my jam. Even the enemy is going to bat for this little leaguer. A parent at a rival New Jersey team is backing a little leaguer who was suspended from the state finals game for joyfully flipping his bat, saying that the horseplay rule is unclear and most players don't even know it exists. These umpires aren't very good and it doesn't warrant a game suspension, said Chris Heenan, whose son plays for the team in Harrison Township Little League's organization, whose 12-year-old squad gave up a home run that led Haddington Little Leaguer Mark Rocco's now infamous bat flipping celebration happen. Now, Rocco 12 was facing a golf off against Harrison Thursday when he tossed his bat into the air to celebrate hitting a home run, which made the game an 8-0 blowout, prompting the umpire to eject him from the game. Now, the move also earned him a one-game suspension and barred him from competing in the New Jersey Little League State Tournament final this coming Thursday, outraging his dad, Joe Rocco, who filed court papers Tuesday to have the suspension overturned. But even Heenan, whose son plays for the rival Harrison team in the 11-year-old division, called the punishment off base. I don't believe it's common knowledge in Little League that you aren't supposed to flip a bat, he said. Yeah, I mean, I think we did this when I was in Little League. I don't remember. Again, I was never a team sport cat, so I don't really remember what all I did in baseball, softball, and soccer. He also said that the no horseplay rule, reportedly cited by the umpire of the game in question, is overly vague. You can call almost anything horseplay. If there's no specific rule against bat flipping in the handbook, how would you know? The elder Rocco insists that the league sent kids mixed messages by posting videos of celebratory bat flipping on its social media account, and Heenan agreed. While Heenan acknowledged that tossing a bat in the air could be dangerous, he said the league should stay consistent with its messaging. If that's what they're promoting on social media, then that's what people are seeing, and especially kids. That's what they're going to do. It sucks, he said. You live and you learn. Now on Tuesday, Rocco filed an emergency temporary restraining order in the Gloucester County Chancellery Division in an attempt to have his son's suspension overturned. He'll learn Wednesday afternoon whether his kid can play in the upcoming game. The Little League International Organization did not immediately return a request for comment on the post. So I say let the kid play. Tell them you're not, no, from this point forward, we don't throw bats, we don't spin bats. You can do a funky little dance. I don't know. Again, this is like out of my wheelhouse, so I'm trying to give everyone a fair shot. But this is dumb. Why you're suspending the kid, why you're, again, if have clear rules, and this rule was obviously not clear. So let's clear it up and let's have very clear boundaries. This isn't that hard. A body of a graduate student who vanished after leaving a Wisconsin bar was found in the Mississippi River. Now, this is a case where I think, are going to want to really take our time. If we remember, there was a fairly similar case to this of, I think, a Minnesota or Missouri student going to Tennessee and also ending up in a river. So we really need to, I want to wait on this story before we go really crazy and start doing, speculation station. Here's what we know so far. But I do believe that this might be the next big speculation station case. The Wisconsin graduate student who mysteriously vanished after leaving a waterfront bar in Wisconsin early Sunday morning was unfortunately and tragically found dead in the Mississippi River Wednesday. Oliette Hines, 22, was discovered in the river just before 10:30 a.m. near Brownsville, Minnesota, more than 10 miles from where she was last seen, following an exhaustive 4-day search. This was not the outcome we had hoped for throughout this search, La Crosse Police Chief Sean Cudron said in a statement. Our thoughts are with her family, friends, and all those who knew her, and we're grateful for the outpouring of support from so many within the lacrosse community, the state of Wisconsin, and nationally to help locate her. Now, Hines, who was enrolled at Viterbo, Viterbo College, had been at a Bronco bar in College Town for a night out with friends who said she left around 2:30 a.m. Sunday. Now, security footage did catch her about an hour later walking near the Mississippi waterfront, about a 30-minute walk from the bar, and that was the last time that she was seen. Now, the missing student's loved ones, who reported her missing Sunday morning after several failed attempts to contact her, launched a frantic search around the town with help from the police and community volunteers. The family also pled with those living in areas where she was last seen to review their footage on their, cameras and everything like that to see if they might have seen her in the early morning hours. Now, Hines' cell phone was reportedly found by her friends during the desperate search that saw police and volunteers scouring the banks of the Mississippi River near where she was last seen and the area around her apartment. The Viterbo University school service said that they would hold a memorial, program for Elliot. I don't, Oliet? I can't say her name. And it's going to be something that is really, really simple, and I'm just not seeing it. That being said, it does seem like they will be holding a memorial. There are no words that can ease the pain of losing someone so young with so much life ahead of her, President of the university, Rick Trenley, said in a statement. Our hearts go out to her family, and we hold them in our prayer and stand with them in their grief. Now, her heartbroken mother, Amber, told Fox and Friends on Wednesday that her missing daughter was both beautiful inside and out, and she had the biggest heart and kindness for everyone. I think that's noted by how many people have showed up for her. The La Crosse police say that the investigation is still active as they await autopsy results and different things. But whether this was a homicide or an accident, it's still a loss, and hopefully we can learn and use kind of the wisdom and the words that the judge spoke about yesterday for Basic Brian. Let's wait for real facts to come out. Let's not condemn or try to speculate too much, and let this family grieve. Would be my whole situational approach to this. Let's try to just, be mindful that everyone has a family, and that we might get more information and not speculate to death. Well, he's not speculating, but he is going, or has undergone 2 surgeries. Eric Menendez has undergone 2 surgeries after a serious health diagnosis. Eric Menendez is not out of the woods yet. Now, his wife, Tammy Menendez, shared an update on Eric's health after the 54-year-old, who is serving a 50 years to life in prison sentence along with his brother, Lyle Menendez, for the night. We know what they're there for, was diagnosed with what his attorney called a serious medical condition. Now, Tammy explained that Eric, whose specific diagnosis has not been made public, has undergone a second successful surgery to treat his condition. Now, he will need a 3rd surgery, which will hopefully happen soon, she wrote on X, formerly Twitter, on July 23rd, because Eric is in prison and there's a lot of complications and delays with surgery. Now, following his second operation on July 23rd, she said that he remains nauseous and in pain, but recovering from surgery. And she thanks everyone for their well wishes and prayers. Complications can happen in surgery, but this is a very stressful time for us. Additionally, we are grateful to the CRT custody and medical staff who did their best during this difficult situation. Now, the brothers' fate will be decided next month at a parole hearing, nearly 30 years after they were convicted, for the deaths of their parents. I will try to see if that is going to be live streamed. I do know that the Susan Smith parole hearing was, so with the, large amount of interest in this case, I do suspect that this will be, streamed, and we will be covering it with the Petty Express, of course. But hopefully I don't know where to fall on this one. I guess I don't wish anyone to be in pain, so hopefully he gets better, has his third operation, and then the parole board can do the deciding. That's kind of all I have to say on that. Again, the Menendez brother case was not a case that I have ever really gotten into, so I definitely need to do that. Now, Massachusetts, in a story bound to bring, well, maybe Jesus to render some judgment, because dear Lord, apparently Massachusetts can't.
Keep grove, thou glowing shrine of thirst traps, scams, and dollar signs. We chant in tones both grim and low, for virtue fled a long time ago. Kyrie eleison, Christe descendat, final from Jesus return in wrath. With six-pack listening, sword in hand, he cometh swift to cleanse the land.
Massachusetts, what am I going to do with you? Charges dropped against more than 120, yes, that's 120, defendants in Massachusetts because they can't find attorneys. Oh, Theodore Edgecombe, if only you were from Massachusetts, you could have played that whole I'm going a yonder to find an attorney, to perfection with that one. More than 120 cases, some for assault on family members and police, were dismissed Tuesday in Boston, the latest fallout from a months-long dispute over pay that has led public defenders to stop taking new clients. At an almost empty courtroom, Boston Municipal Court Chief Justice Tracy Lee Lyons invoked the Lavley protocol in dismissing case after case. It requires cases be dropped if a defendant hasn't had an attorney for 45 days and released from custody if they haven't had one for 7 days. Because, yeah, this makes perfect sense. Now, Tuesday was the first time it was invoked to drop cases while suspects in custody were released in recent weeks. So crime is legal in Massachusetts, apparently. Allegedly in Minecraft. Do not take this as wisdom. That was sarcasm. I will get a sign if I need it. Don't be a jackass. It was a joke. Now, most of them were for minor things like shoplifting, drug possession, and motor vehicle violations, but several involved cases of assault on police officers, or DV. In one, a suspect allegedly punched his girlfriend in the stomach, and she was pregnant, and laid hands on her about the facialar region. What the hell are you doing, Massachusetts? Did you spend all of the money that was supposed to go to public defenders to try to convict Karen Reed? Because I'm about done with this. How can you find $300K for Alexis and Aperture, but you can't find, $300K to pay your public defenders? Now, the judge repeatedly invoked the protocol, which dismissed all the cases after being convinced that public defenders had made good faith efforts to find defendants attorneys. Now, no defendants were in court to hear their cases being dismissed. This case was dismissed without prejudice. So now there is a silver lining here that these were all dismissed without prejudice. And what that means is that double jeopardy is not invoked. If they can find more attorneys, then these charges can be brought again. But absolutely ridiculous. Now, frustration from prosecutors, was evident over the dropped cases. Prosecutors unsuccessfully objected to the dismissal of many cases, especially the most serious being dismissed. The case dismissals today, and with many more expected in the coming days and weeks, are a clear and continuing threat to public safety. James Borahseni said, a spokesperson for the Suffolk County District Attorney's Office. Now, they vowed to re-prosecute all of these cases. Our prosecutors and victim witness and advocates are working extremely hard to keep victims and other impacted persons up to date on what's happening with their cases. These are difficult conversations, and we remain hopeful that a structural solution will be found to address the causal issues here and prevent a repeat. Now, Democratic Governor Mara Healey is speaking to reporters in Fall River, and the situation needs to be resolved. This is a public safety issue. There's also a due process issue as people need representation. I know the parties are talking and they've got to find a way to work this out. We need lawyers in court, and we certainly need that they be fairly paid as well. Now, the dispute revolves around pay. Public defenders, who argued that they are the lowest paid in New England, launched a work stoppage at the end of May in hopes of pressuring the legislature to increase their hourly pay rate. Now, the state agency representing public defenders had proposed a pay increase of $65 an hour to $73 an hour over the next fiscal year. Or fiscal 2 years, in the district court, an increase from 85 hours or dollars an hour to 105 for lawyers in superior court, and then 120 an hour to 150 an hour for lawyers handling the most serious case. So think murder, murder 1, 2, those kind of things. But the 2026 fiscal budget year, or your budget of 60 billion doesn't include money or allocations for this particular increase. The dismissal of these cases today under these particular protocols is what needs to be done for those individuals charged with crimes but with no lawyers to vindicate their constitutional right, said Shira Diner, a lecturer at the Boston University School of Law and an immediate past president of the Massachusetts Association of Criminal Defense Lawyers. It is, however, not a solution to the deep crisis of inadequate pay for bar advocates. Until there's enough qualified lawyers in the courts to fulfill the constitutional obligation of the right to counsel, this crisis will only intensify. Now, the pay of public defenders has become a national issue. Massachusetts is the latest state struggling to adequately fund its public defender system. In New York, legal aid attorneys are demanding better pay and working conditions. And earlier this month, Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers signed a 2-year state budget into law that increases the pay of its public defenders and district attorneys in each of the 2 next years. Now, this comes after the legislature in 2023 also increased pay to address rising caseloads and high turnover, low salaries. So this is a problem that we are going to see mirrored in many different localities. While I'm making fun of Massachusetts, this is something that is going to need to be baked into budgets. The increased, caseload, the requirements of hiring more people, and different things like that. I mean, I don't know. I don't know the amount of caseloads that all of these lawyers have, but this is something that is going to become an issue, and I think something that is going to need to be addressed in the coming years, especially with people's thirst for more law and crime. You are going to need to make sure that the, machine of justice is, able to work through these sort of, increased calls for law and crime. But I'm not a genius. I'm just saying we're probably going to get more of this and be seeing more of this. This is not probably a Massachusetts thing. Now, I don't know who needs to hear this, but do not try this. Do not try this in rural areas, children. This is a terribly bad, ridiculous, and stupid idea. Do not do this. I don't know how much more clear I can make this, but do not. Florida teens are trying a dangerous social media challenge that has police warning parents and homeowners. And I'm hoping these parents talk to their kids, because you never as a teenager think that you're going to be the kid that, the consequences visit. But this is incredibly scary, and this is not going to end well. Police in Florida are issuing a warning after a group of minors took part in the door kick challenge. Now, this is not a good thing to try in rural areas either. Really don't try this in rural areas. A social media trend aimed at frightening homeowners. The Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said in a Facebook post that 5 juvenile suspects were walking around in a neighborhood in Riverview, Florida, when 2 of them approached a house. Now, officials said one of the individuals, who was wearing a ski mask, then kicked the front door and fired, an airsoft gun. The minors then, ran away. So this is an escalation on Ding Dong Ditch. And I don't want to have to do a story of some young person losing their life because they did something stupid like this, and a homeowner in real fear makes a choice that they're going to regret for the rest of their lives. This is called the Idiot Darwin Challenge, this is the Dumbass Challenge. Do not do this. Now, deputies said that the door kick challenge could turn into a dangerous situation and encouraged parents to talk to their children. The door kick challenge is a prank circulating on social media, and the local sheriff's department is asking parents to speak to their children about how this is a very dangerous trend that could end in tragedy, the Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office said. Now, the video released by Hillsborough County Sheriff's Office shows an individual approaching the door before kicking it several times and firing an airsoft gun, then fleeing the area. Now, Tatiana Jordan, CMO and Chief Parent Officer at Bark Technologies, a parental control app, told, Fox News Digital that teens are doing this social media trend to try to get attention. And thank you, Tammy, for renewing your membership. Thank you, thank you. This sort of content is going to get likes, it's going to get comments, and it's going to get shares. It's going to encourage children to try to emulate it because they want clout. They want internet views, clicks, not licks. Good Lord, that's a whole other story. Clicks and and the kind of, encouragement, positive or negative attention. When you're a kid, you don't really suss out the deeper levels of, are you getting attention because you're being a jackass moron, or are you getting, praise for doing something good? You don't really differentiate those. You think people like me. Any challenge like this, the children aren't thinking, is this the right thing to do, or is this safe? They're thinking, I want validation. And children are going to get killed. I mean, just one person who is armed and gets their door kicked in by a kid, you're going to have another national headline, and it's going to be really sad. So please don't, kick in head or front doors. Tell your kids not to be jackasses. We had a similar problem around my neighborhood for a while, and I know I got, dirty looks from the biddies on the HOA. But I said, this is going to end in tragedy. These parents need to be reminded we live in a rural area, and your kids going out and being jackasses at 3 a.m., all it takes is one very scared homeowner. This was right around the time we were having some break-ins around the area, and I'm glad that nothing tragic happened. But you have these parents who don't want to parent their kid, who, everything happens to their kid. It isn't a result of their, bad choices or natural consequence. Someone's being mean to their kid. It's parenting like that. It's parenting in which you're never allowing or making your kid responsible for themselves. I'm going to get a headline and I'm going to be pissed off. So when I go off, when I say bad words, I done warned y'all. That being said, I was right, biddies on the HOA. This will end in a tragedy. Now, we do have some members for Lord Chippy today. I didn't want to do it yesterday. I needed a Lord Chippy free day, but we do have some contenders today. And I do mean contenders. These are heavyweight douchebags.
They're our skin, they steal our grace. These monsters wear a human face. No gavel, no badge, no throne, no crown can stop Lord Chippy from burning them down. Justice ain't fast, justice ain't clean. It's a long, sharp road through the in-between. So raise your fists and light your flames. Chippy's coming and
Oh, I didn't put it up. Such a dork. I was like, yeah, he's such a. No, daggone it. Wrong one. I am a professional. Believe me, ish. We have a tattoo artist that allegedly kidnapped, laid hands on their teen side chick, then their wife, his wife and their nanny also joined in on, I guess, the family beatdown of the side chick. What the hell am I doing with my life? These stories are insane. I do not get how we even end up here as a society, but then I wouldn't have Lord Chippy segments. So, one does kind of, it's the chicken and the egg argument. Who came first, the dumb criminal or Lord Chippy? And I contend it was somewhat of a big bang and they formed together like, positrons and, or no, wait, matter and antimatter. It's like, I know I can say a smart science thing, but it doesn't really help with you take forever to remember it. Let's see here. A New York tattoo artist is being accused of kidnapping a teenage employee and then laying hands on her, assaulting her with the help of both his wife and the family's nanny. Now, the victim was a 19-year-old woman with whom the man was allegedly having an affair. Now, she did survive the alleged May 16th attack and reported it to authorities. Now, Wayne Barnes and his wife, Jasmine Barnes, and the family's nanny, Lisbeth Cerrato Sanchez, have all been indicated in connection with the alleged crimes, according to Westchester County District Attorney's Office. Now, authorities claimed that the series of assaults began when Wayne, the 43-year-old owner of Sons of Ink Tattoo Parlor, was driving his employee to her home in Queens, and the two got into an argument, culminating in Wayne kicking her out of the car on Grand Central Parkway in Queens. Now, the woman was then allowed back into the car where Wayne allegedly laid hands on her several times with an expandable metal baton. What the hell is wrong with people? Soon thereafter, Wayne got a call from Jasmine, who he picked up with the teen girl still in his car. Now, Jasmine reportedly entered the car wearing black gloves and carrying another metal baton. Now, once they arrived at the couple's house in Westchester County, the duo allegedly dragged the teen into the residence before Jasmine pushed her down a flight of stairs. What the hell is wrong with people? Giblets. She then allegedly dragged the teenager and hit her several more times with a baton before the nanny joined in and punched the teen in the face. Now, she was reportedly at the residence to tend to the Barnes' children when the assault began. But at one point, after the nanny was allowed to go home, the DA's office said the couple continued to threaten the teenager. At one point, the teenager was able to convince Jasmine to let her go. The wife let her change into clean clothes and returned her phone before she was able to leave. The victim reported the incident to Greensburg Police Department the following day, and the Barneses and Cerrato Sanchez were arrested on May 20th. Now, Wayne Barnes is charged with kidnapping, criminal possession of a weapon, and several counts of assault, while Jasmine Barnes has been charged again with kidnapping, menacing, criminal possession of a weapon, and 2 counts of assault. Now, both of them were released on bail, with Wayne's reaching $300,000. Now, they are both due to be back in court on July 29th. Now, the nanny, who was charged with assault and criminal possession of a weapon, was released on $10,000 bond, and her next court date is August the 7th. Now, authorities haven't even begun to mention what a motive or why behind this crime is. I'm sure there will be a lot more coming out and, court hearings and things like that escalated it. So, not quite sure. But good night, nurse. What the hell is wrong with people? Again on that list of what the hell is wrong with people? This chick. I need children and women to leave and for men to stay. Sweetheart, we all want you to get a date, but I don't think this is the way of dating people. A woman claimed to have a bomb at the airport while holding a clock timer, so she wanted all the men to perish. Third wave feminism, your avatar, final form, this chick. A 21-year-old woman in Florida, I should have known, was arrested at Miami International Airport earlier this month when she claimed to allegedly have a bomb. Now, she attempted to evacuate women and children while making the men around her remain. Aaliyah Evans was taken into custody and charged with one count of felony false report about placing a bomb or explosive and a misdemeanor count of disorderly conduct. A misdemeanor? I don't know. I think this woman should get some help. But a misdemeanor? All right, jaywalking and threatening to be a Terry. Wonderful. It's Mowgli. The Jungle Book. Oh my God. Look for the bare necessities, the simple bomb necessities. Forget about your worries and your strife. I mean your male accessories, your tangle bit accessories will mean you get exploded by this woman who wants a wife. Crap. Damn it. This is what happens in my real brain. You guys see me silence myself is because I want to make dirty, weird jingles out of everything, which is why I generally silence myself. Now, according to probable cause affidavits obtained on law and crime from Miami-Dade Sheriff's Office, deputies around 5:51 a.m., this heifer got her crazy on the red eye. This is nuts. I mean, I can understand being crazy at 4 a.m. because I wake up at 4 a.m. every day, but this heifer woke up early to be crazy. The early bird gets the worm, and the crazy heifer who goes to the airport early, I guess gets her worm. Oh my God. Please let her and Sarah Boone be roommates. Please let her and Sarah Boone be roommates. I need this in my life. On a serious note, do not threaten airports. I don't know who needed to hear that, but just so it's perfectly clear to the android or person who is watching this, I am not condoning it. Now, so basically, according to these affidavits, she showed up around, 5:51 a.m. on July 1st, 2025, responding to a JetBlue ticket counter at Miami-Dade International in reference to a female passenger who stated she had a bomb in her carry-on luggage. Now, specifically, the female passenger was heard and observed by witnesses, stating she had a bomb in her carry-on luggage while holding a cell phone in her hand, which displayed what appeared to be a clock timer, then further stating, "I need women and children to leave and for the men to stay." Again, ma'am, I understand this might be the only way to catch a husband, but he's going to flee after. You do realize this is not a suitable dating tactic. That being said, it was a strategy. Now, the female passenger, later identified as Evans, left the carry-on bag and was supposedly, walking around it as this bag lays in front of the counter. Now, she attempted to get past other passengers in line to make her way through checkpoint security, checkpoint E. Now, the Transportation Security Administration manager and several agents working with Customs and Border Protection who were working the area saw the commotion and responded to the scene. Now, they were able to detain Evans. Now, the sheriff deputies arrived a short while later and made contact with CBP agents and Evans, who they described as acting erratic, with officers pointing out that she was yelling and screaming as they attempted to gather basic information from her. I'd expect no less. Now, they did end up bringing in the bomb squad and explosive canines to perform a search on her carry-on bag and found no evidence that she had a bomb. Now, in addition to the threat, authorities said Evans also knocked over various lane extenders in the airport, caused disruption and disarray to, the area, which placed passengers and employee in fear and caused delays for the time it took to take her into custody and retrieve her belongings. Now, Evans was transported to the sheriff's office for questioning, where she invoked her right to remain silent, if not her ability, I'm sure. She was then processed at the Turner Guilford Night Correctional Center in Miami. She was released. Oh, this is a great idea. After posting a bond of $150. Apparently, crime is also legal in Florida. Good Lord, $150? She's just going to go right back to Spirit Airlines. Good luck. Well, this does not seem to be like it's going to end well, but God bless you, Florida, and thank you for giving me another story in about a week. Because now, I don't know, this just made me smile, and sometimes we need a smile. So if you're wondering what you're watching, you are actually watching a reenactment of a Thai zoo, what they would do if mood if a mudang like hippo ever got out. So this is an actual drill that they were using in case of a hippo escape. This guy had to dress up in a baby mudang costume and pretend to be a hippo. A zoo in Thailand used a mascot version of its most famous resident, Mudang, the pygmy hippo, for a drill testing zookeepers' responses to the animal escaping. Now, the drill at Ko Kau Open Zoo featured a staff member in a Mudang mascot costume staging an escape. Escape, if you will. Escape. From the enclosure, going on a rampage through publicly accessible areas of the zoo. Now, the control team proceeded to close off the area and bring the hippo back into the pen safely. Yeah, it's all fun and games until you really let the dart fly. Now, during the rehearsal, there was a rehearsal of a hippo attacking one of the staff members, resulting in minor injury. The zoo's first aid staff immediately provided assistance and sent the patron to the hospital. Just what, and I love this story. Now, the drill also involved veterinarians simulating the process of tranquilizing the fake Muden and gave the hippo a health examination. Oh, please, God, let there be footage of the health examination. Oh my God, if this doesn't work out, if my YouTube career doesn't work out, I am willing to pretend to be Mudeng for like all purposes. I would like to be hired out as a professional zoo escape enactment person. This is the best thing ever. You have no idea, you guys. I'm just gonna go out into zoos in mascot wear. It's like being a furry, but doing it for good. Oh my gosh, you guys, this is totally an idea. I just need time, crafts, and well, I mean, if I'm wearing a furry costume, no one's gonna know it's me. So I guess the shame of doing that would be fine because no one would know it was me. Except, of course, I've given my plan out to all of you guys. I have no words. You guys, I have no words. I find the weirdest stories. That's all I can say. Over 400 guinea pigs, including countless pregnant rodents and newborn babies, were found in one LA home. Why? I mean, guinea pigs are okay. They're far enough, they're close enough to like fluffy pet like newborn kitten that they don't strike me as rodents, so I can sort of tolerate them. But they're still rodents. Look, I'm just not a fan. Mice, rodents, even bunnies scare me. Although I will say I am much more afraid of the white bunnies with the red eyes. And I know that's how they're supposed to look, but those look like demonic bunnies to me. So there you go. If you ever need to Noriega me out of some place, just send a bunch of guinea pigs and bunnies in and I'll be terrified. Over 400 guinea pigs, including many who were either dead, pregnant, or newborn, were found in a single home that's now part of a massive rescue in Los Angeles. Now, as that's still underway, they're trying to get the word out. So, Southern California Guinea Pig Rescue and other members of small animal rescue community were alerted to a dire animal welfare situation in the south of LA earlier this month. Now, in LA, a woman was facing eviction due to an animal hoarding case. Now, she was required to relocate her guinea pigs by July 19th. Now, an initial assessment by another organization had determined she had approximately 200 rodents in her residence, but they later found that that number was actually more than double that of about 400. Now, an initial assessment determined that most of the animals were happy and healthy with their basic needs, for the most part met. Uh, Now, according to the group that took over for the first group, that was not the case. Now, after investigating the situation, after that particular rescue group had extricated themselves, the SCGPR volunteers learned that there was actually more than 400 guinea pigs in the home and that they were in a distressing or alarming conditions. There were a lot of deceased animals on the property, as well as countless pregnant females and newborn babies, the agency said. And animals were suffering from, medical issues, ringworm, head tilt, tremors, open wounds, hair loss. According to the rescue, the rodents were living in overcrowded and unsanitary conditions with a diet of just corn husks and insufficient water, like a single water bottle for 80 to 100 animals. Again, they may not be my favoriteest animals, but I don't want any animal to have a life like these animals were having. This is not right. We're called to be good stewards of the animals that we're taking care of, taking ownership of. And this just, it pisses me off. I get where it comes from. Some part comes from, wanting to be selfless and give yourself to these animals and give them a good home. But it's like some people just don't have a limit. And that's why I don't I know I wouldn't be good, so I'm not in any sort of rescue because I'd want to adopt all of them. And I know I'd be a bad, pet mom if I indulged every whim of wanting to save an animal. So it's like these people just don't have it in them to say no, or they just ignore the problem. And it leads to, an unhealthy life for the person and importantly, an unhealthy life for the animals that are trying to rescue, in theory. Now, this new organization stated that as of July 18th, along with three other organizations, they have successfully removed 33 of the hundreds of guinea pigs, despite already operating at the capacity for their rescue. Now, they've been unable to save all the animals, and the organization prioritized the most vulnerable animals in this first kind of seizure, including very heavily pregnant females, nursing mothers, and young babies, along with those who had visible, problems. So hopefully they will get help. This looks like it's one of the worst animal or small animal hoarding situations that they've seen. Come on, there we go. We're back. Can get into happy, healthy homes where they'll be taken care of. Well, I don't know, but I mean, if you think your diet is a bunch of ish, maybe it is. Your colon has a sixth sense, and here's how it can help you with weight loss. I mean, I didn't know my colon was stress eating too, but this has got to be a first. Yeah, I think my internet, we're supposed to be getting storms going here and past for the next 5 days. So hopefully it's not Mr. Mo working with, the wiring because he does have a lot of construction-y things to do today. So I will be doing this stream and then trying to get some videos up, but I probably won't see you for the rest of the day because he does have to do some fairly loud like trim, putting the crown molding up and stuff, and sanding and sawing and all that other stuff that I can't ever, do while I'm streaming. Well, talk about a gut feeling. New research from Duke University has highlighted the role of neuropods, a specialized sensory cell in the colon that acts like a taste bud for the gut. I don't want my colon to have a sense of taste, but I mean, I guess that yeah, I don't want to think about my colon having taste buds. But apparently neuropods they sample nutrients like sugar, bacteria, byproducts, and then quickly send signals to the brain that guide food choices and even influence when it's time to stop eating. Now, researchers call the phenomenon neurobiotic sense a hidden sixth sense, and they hope that it will pave the way for new obesity treatments and provide insight into mental health disorders affected by diet. It's similar to how we use our other senses, sight, sound, smell, taste, and touch, and then butt stuff. You know, I always wanted sight, sound, smell, taste, touch, butt stuff. The sixth sense. I can't with this. I understand it's got all like real science behind it, but this is just too funny to be real. Now, you know, it interprets the world, but it's from an unexpected place and time and area. Now, scientists have long known about the gut-brain connection, but a major communication highway that affects digestion, mood, and overall well-being. Now, for their part, the colon's taste cells or sense cells can warn the brain of bacterial intruders. The new Duke study published Wednesday in the Journal of Nature. The journal Nature focused on flagellin, a key structural protein that enables bacteria to move. So, if you're thinking of your earliest origin, the little wiggly tail, that's kind of the adaptation that apparently some of these cells look for, is that sort of cellular adaptation to be able to wiggle, 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 wiggle. Uh, so there you go. If you need further instruction, there are hubs for this. Now, they're able to use a special receptor called TLR5 to recognize the sort of movement and send information through the vagus nerve to the brain. Now, so they kind of explained how this works in mice. They had one set of mice fast overnight before giving them a small dose of flagellin from a salmonella kind of bacteria that's been well studied. And then the mice ate less, and they repeated this step with the mice that had their receptor sort of knocked out, and the mice continued to eat and ended up gaining weight because the brain couldn't pick up the bacterial signal. Now, there were no other changes to the mice's behavior that were detected, but it does show that there is probably something going on here, but I am too much of a 12-year-old to get past they detect wrigglers. So, you know. Also, didn't you play on 10 Things I Hate About You as the schmuck? He looks very much in the face the way that guy the actor who was the schmucky guy on 10 Things I Hate About You. Anywho, I have gone off the rails. But our final story does have to do with the new emojis that you will be able to use this coming year with, you know, Apple Update 26. A new batch of emojis has been approved for iOS 26, and surprisingly enough, Apple and Google aren't the ones that decide which emojis will come to your phone. That is the job of Unicode Consortium, a nonprofit that maintains the Unicode standard. Could you guys create a sarcasm font? Like, I love little stupid emojis, but I never need to use them. But I would love a sarcasm font, you know? So if I'm just being kind of, you know, taking the piss out of, or, you know, making fun of Mr. Mo, he can use and understand that I am just being a smartass in this particular thing, and I don't need him to comment further. But what we will be getting this year instead of a sarcasm font that would actually be useful, a trombone, a treasure chest, distorted face, hairy feature, I'm guessing Bigfoot, or I'm sorry, hairy creature, not feature. That would explain. Let's see. Flight cloud or a fight cloud, an apple core, an orca, ballet dancer, and a landslide. So there you go. Um, again, sarcasm font would be so much more helpful, and make it do some here, Elon. I know you can send people to Mars, but could you make like a button that really, I don't know, launches your phone but protects it when you hang up on someone? Because it's just not as satisfying as pushing the red button. So if you could create like a phone trebuchet or something as cathartic when you hang up your smartphone as it did when you hung up the big bake light or bake plastic, phone, that would be helpful. That being said, those are the emojis we're getting, and I am in protest because it's not sarcasm font. I hope you all have a wonderful day. Go have fun, be safe, don't ding dong ditch anyone, and figure out a way we can all use the Bigfoot icon all the time. I love the Bigfoot icon. Everything else can go to hell. Anywho, I'll talk at you later. I am going to be working on setting up the craft stuff, so it's coming to me. I just have to work it out in my head. And we will be doing constructionology down or around here, so I may put out some videos today, but it might be a quiet day on the sort of home front here. And then I do have to get with Shizzy to see if we are set up to do Friday morning at his channel tomorrow, if he's up for that. If not, I will be here and we will be doing all of the absurd. Plus, Lori Vallow gets sentenced tomorrow, so it will be another sentencing stream. Hopefully we can hang out, have fun, and now that we have the puppy and kitten, break, that'll be awesome. Yeah, I'm going to be helping hold things, so I probably can't, but I am going to be looking at possibly how to set my phone up to be a camera too, so I can be doing more out and about stuff. But that shall be my goal this week. Bye, you guys.